What's up, guys? WhoNeedsMeta here with Cat again. We're gonna do kind of like a retro report thing. It's like if Market Watch was useful. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is pointless too. We had Yu-Gi-Oh! Retro Series 50, which was a Troop Dupe event, and then we had Retro Series 51, which was a Toronto Tengu Plant event. So we had the first half. So we're gonna kind of go over these. I believe this was Saturday, and then the Tengu Plant one was Sunday.
Yeah.
So for the deck representation, we only had 11 players for the Troop Dupe one, really small event. Um, they do allow Crush Card Virus, and I believe Gold Sark as well. If it was out, I can't remember if Gold Sark was a September one or not. But Crush Card is in they allow it. So that's typically why neither of us play in either their Troop Dupe or their Perfect Circle events. It seems like Format Library kind of likes to do their own thing. Like I said, they play Toronto and they play with prize cards. It is what it is. But looking at some of the main deck stuff, you see 11 players but 24 card troopers. So you see just about everybody is playing it. And then 10 of the 11 decks were main decking Confiscation and Heavy Storm. You'd typically see this in the sideboard in retrospect, but like I really think that going forward, we're going to see, at least in this format, we're going to be seeing a lot more of like the hand control cards with like the triple dust shoot and the Mind Crush combination. That's kind of a more retrospective thing, and I really appreciate that. So
So
looking at
what
go
was
ahead.
what's the reason not to run confiscation in the main? I'm guessing.
I
I'm asking.
truly do not know, other than it doesn't go with your strategy. You're just trying to win the game as quickly as possible. If I had to guess which deck it was out of the 11 to be the one Bazoo return, I could be wrong, but that would be my guess because we only have access to the top two because you only cut to top two. So you can see the triple card trooper. This is T Hero. I'm glad this deck won. If you're familiar with Silch's Ruin, he's in just about every single retro Discord. Um, but he won the event playing T Hero, which is my favorite deck of this format. I really like this list. I like the one copy of DD Warrior Lady because you have double Rhoda. So you have like a main deck out even to like set Spy if you never draw like your Monarch cards.
See, is
Um,
that better than Exiled Force though?
you
For that
can
reasoning?
I mean you can get rid of Sandgan, you can get rid of Card Trooper this way,
Or Treeborn? Yeah,
or
okay.
Treeborn Frog, yeah, or Spirit Reaper. I guess both get rid of Spirit Reaper, but like the idea of being able to remove those cards for not being able to have access, and it's a bigger beater. So that's another I guess reason. Only one Fearmonger, which I think is pretty standard. I think Perfect Circle will be more likely to run two. This is the closest thing to I guess Perfect Circle outside of like that strict deck. Um, I like the Mystic Walk in the side. This is something that's being really popular with Goat format to dodge Ring. People are worried about like Ring for game and stuff like that, so people are playing Mystic Walk to tribute their own guy. Um, Pulling the Rug is probably, I believe it was the most popular side deck card.
Oh
I
yeah.
think everybody was running this. Um, you can't really see the full extra, but because you can play with more than 15, obviously, at this time period, but you have the important ones here. Um, yeah, it's a cool list. Interesting to see. I don't think, yeah, no copies of Metamorphosis, though, which is
Nope.
pretty interesting. I guess with Crush Card, you have a more useful use for a card like Malicious. You don't have, you can Crush Card it and use it as tribute fodder because he's playing 4 Monarchs instead of just like the standard 3. Because normally you don't typically play Zaborg. Some lists could, but not too big of an outlier. But yeah, really cool list. I really like the Metamorphosis list though. I just like using Metamorphosis though. Um, Might just be me. I like the Democ into which he's not even playing into Gatling Dragon. So this is a very slimmed down, gotta go fast list, especially with like the triple Wing Blast. Only one machine duplication to play around Trap Dust Shoot from being stuck without that dupable card without being stuck without Card Trooper because you need
Ah.
both. So if they dust shoot it out of your hand, you're essentially stuck with a machine dupe, and if you have multiples, you're going to be stuck with um, a lot of those. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the second place list here. But I do like the list. Silch's Runes is a good player. He's played and played pretty much everything. So we'll go back to the event 50, And the second place list, Kesha, Machine Aggro. Another list that I like. I'm a big fan. I
like
noticed
the turtle.
Yeah, well, okay, well, yeah, triple turtle, triple phoenix, because you can go into this. But the important thing is the entire deck, except for the triple cyber dragon and the Jinzo, are not susceptible to crush card. So, if you look at it, that's kind of the reason. Crush card kind of warps the format, obviously. So people are playing cards like UFO Turtle that have like monsters that are resilient to that. It's similar to why my Teledad list doesn't play Snipe Hunter anymore. Because
it gets eaten.
It just gets eaten. It's just not worth having an extra card that gets bodied. You need stuff like Armageddon Knight or things like that. So I don't know. It's just what I player preference or whatever. But yeah, this I like the triple Dust Shoot Mind Crush combo. That's pretty popular. You do see the double machine dupe, kind of go for it all with the aggro list as opposed to a list like T-Hero, which has monarchs that it can take advantage of, where this is more reliant on something like Future Fusion, Overload Fusion, that combo, Premature Burial for like huge plays and just trying to win the game that way. So, but it's still, because again, the low monster count, you have room for the trap lineup that it does with the triple Dust Shoot. And then triple Pulling the Rug in the side. Cool to see Des Wombat get a shout out. This is probably a threatening roar for the mirror to have something chainable, because if your opponent goes True Nade Heavy or Space, which this list obviously all runs, you have a chainable card to prevent them from going off, and then you could do it to them next turn. So, kind of like the threatening roars in the sideboard. But that's pretty much the only thoughts we have on the Trooper event, T-Hero, and Machine Aggro and stuff like that. But we're going to get more so into the Retro Series 51. Going to go through this here, the top 4 decks. We're going to go through the deck representation. 13 control, 10 aggro, and 2 combo. I don't trust those terminologies because there are 2 combo decks and 3 Tengu Plant decks. And I'm pretty sure Tengu Plant is a combo deck. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's almost like playstyle. You could almost slow it down to a control deck.
I think that's why it's more popular than other decks, obviously. Like more, like Doppel and stuff, because Doppel has obviously the higher ceiling. But this format has Max C and Tengu Plants can stop. But we don't see any in the top 4. None of those made it. I think Hero Beat is probably top 2, top 3 decks of this format, and so it's really cool to see it actually do well. But we'll go through here. 4 agents. Most popular deck being Agents, which one? That's really surprising to me. I'm surprised that Agents did as well as they did. I played that deck for a long time.
What normally snuffs them out that you thought would keep them from getting there?
Itself, drawing Shrine Ball. Just not being able to, I don't know, having issues with drawing just bad hands. Especially the Chaos variant, but we'll get into that when we get into it. 3 Chaos Control, of course, 3 Plants They Grow. 2 Scraps, which is really cool. I was talking to someone in the Discord who said they played both the Scrap players and won both. I think they were playing Bubble Beat, if I was wrong. I could remember. I could be misremembering. 2 TG Stuns, and then a lot of one of Blackwings, which is really interesting because so many of those cards are at 1.
Yeah, that deck is neutered this format, unfortunately.
1 Hero Beat, 1 Chaos Plant. I want to see this list if you have it. If you're out there, I want to see the Chaos Plant list. I love Chaos Plants. Karakuri, Psychics, also another cool deck. I really like TG Psychics. I was thinking about building a list for that. Infernity, this deck will never die. 1 Zombie. Zombies did well at another Tengu Plant event for this format at an earlier date. 1 Nordic, awesome. 1 X-Saber, hope that deck wins next time. 1 Frog Monarch, and 1 GB. That's right, they were playing Frog Monarchs. I talked to the Frog Monarch player in the Discord. And then the 1 GB from the top 4. So it's good to know that the only GB player and the only Hero Beat player are here. So unique decks in terms of picks for this event. We'll get into the first place list first. Indie Kids. Agents. We're a little confused about the close force on the side because there are no Dark Worlds, but here we are. If you know what that's for, if I had to guess, it's GK, or not GK. GK. Yeah. If I had to guess, it's for Necro Valley. This deck does not do well under Necro Valley. You have Chaos monsters. It just doesn't work. So the deck does struggle because all of its big monsters like Hyperion and the guys you have to have Chaos Monster just summon. So if I had to guess, this is probably for Necro Valley. Of course, the 3 Shine Balls, the 3 cards that I'm really good at drawing. Only 1 Christia, which is pretty interesting. I know it's a contentious debate about 1 or 2. The Trooper build obviously would play 2, but because Trooper is semi-limited still, like in September 12, but you only have 2 Call the Haunted as a format as opposed to 3, so it's not as potent. The Chaos package is fairly interesting. Typically, you'd only see BLS, but we're going to load up with cards like Tragodia and Spirit Reaper. This is very reminiscent of Simon He's list from September 2012 format. He topped 2 events. I believe it was like Providence and Seattle back-to-back, where he topped, and he also played 1 creature swap, 1 enemy controller, 1 mind control, and he also played 1 Forbidden Lance. So he had like a lot of 1-of spells in his main board. And this is kind of reminiscent of that. He played the Tragodias and the Gores as well. And then he played Treacherous as opposed to Dust Shoot, Dust Shoot being banned at the time. I kind of still like Treacherous over Dust Shoot, but I mean, Dust Shoot is, you have to sack people. And I guess with Dueling Book offering 1-ofs a little bit more, seeing Dust Shoot early game is a lot better than seeing it late game. And Treacherous is obviously better in a late game when your opponent is more set up. But nothing too much to say about it. Anything you noticed that was kind of interesting about it?
No, I was trying to go over his sideboard choices. Triple Decree and Lance being good against decks like TG Stun. I mean, there's actually a lot of the sideboard you could bring in against TG Stun. I'm curious what he did. I completely forgot about Gravekeepers as like a viable matchup that Closed Forest would be good against.
Yeah, this deck does have like that auto loss to it. It's kind of like if you're a Dragon Ruler player back in the day, siding XYZ Encore for Ophion, even though if Ophion wasn't like super prevalent, you still kind of had to do it because you didn't want to auto lose to one card.
Lose.
Yeah, so you just had to have some out to it.
Herald of Orange Light, is that typically not played in September 11 lists? I thought you did in yours for some reason.
I believe I played 1 or 2. It depends. I like having access to like 1 Herald. Again, with like Sangan, like I like being able to grab whatever I want off of like the Sangan. If I go, because like a lot of times you're going to go Torgai, Sangan, Pass.
Yeah.
And so based on my hand, I want to be able to go get a Valor, get a Sangan, and in this case get a Herald. Like just having access to that Herald. But I can see that there's, there are some lists why you wouldn't. Which is perfectly fine. But I like having access to the 1-of, just being able to search it because I know I'm going to draw a Shine Ball, and so that if I can go get it and actually have a use for that Shine Ball, it would be something that I'd like to take a look at or like to have access to. We're going to go over the Hero Beat list next to your second place, Jane Ego, Hero Beat. The Snowman Eaters in the Man is obviously the best part about this deck.
Who needs Snowman Eater?
Who needs Snowman Eater? Another thing is we don't have Great Tornado. This is Toronto. Columbus is when you get Great Tornado with the Darkhold Structure deck. At the same time, those are like right around the same thing. So those are the only 2 big differences between Toronto and Columbus. So if we're playing Columbus format, we would have Great Tornado, which is actually kind of interesting because having a copy of Super Poly in the main board and then a second copy in the side, you can kind of cheese people because both Tengu and Spore are a wind. So you would be able to do that if they go Spore effect, summon Tengu. You have 2 options of what you want to get rid of. If it's the 3rd Tengu, you can just take them, leave them with a worthless Spore, or you can get your Great Tornado and take that Spore away with Super Poly. And we don't have access to that in Toronto. I do like Snowmander to deal with the card it's sitting next to here, Thunder King. This is something that I actually didn't think of. And another thing you'll see, like, I like with the skill drains on the side having Barbaros because that's another Earth, but I can totally see Fossil Dyna being the other Earth here in the sideboard. Both are completely valid options. When I side skill drain, I side the Barbaroses in just because they're, Beak Monster, Unga Bunga. Another weird thing about the list is only 7 trap cards. Typically, you see these decks just absolutely loaded with trap cards, but we're seeing stuff like Future Fusion in play, which is not a very popular card in a lot of Hero Beat lists. No, like Evocator or what's the light one?
Crusader.
Crusader Endymion. Yeah, no Crusader or Evocator, which is perfectly fine. Even though I really like having access to Nova Master, I think that card's awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
It's really good in the next format with Super Poly because Zenmanes is a fire monster.
Zenmanes.
It's
Yeah.
just he eats Zenmanes, so that's why I like it in later formats because this deck has a really hard time with that card. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that here. I like the Triple Thunder King. I think you should be playing Triple Thunder King in this deck. I think that these 7, the 4 heroes, the 3 Thunder Kings, should be the starting point for every hero list. Double E-Call as opposed to 1 with the Rhoda. So we have 3 searchers. Typically, you see 1 and 1, obviously, to play around Mind Crush rather than the double E-Call. But, fair is fair. The hand traps are somewhat less popular. You typically see real traps as opposed to hand traps, but this clearly worked out. So I might give this one a go. I know that there's like 2 variants of like TG stun where one like loads up on hand traps, the other one loads up on like real traps, and the real trap version I believe is a little bit better. There's like the Robert Boyajian route that plays like triple Veil or triple C and tries to play BLS, and that top 32 Toronto, I'm not really a fan of that like style. It's just my opinion. Anything else you have on this list? Another thing, 3 Gaias and no Steel Storm Roach.
Yeah.
Which is an odd inclusion because you do have the 2 Dynas in here and then you have Super Poly and things like that, but Maxis.
I'm still frankly surprised that there's 2 Nova Masters in there at all. Like you said, there could have either been a Roach or even like a second Chimera attack or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I just don't know what else is relevant that's fire that you would want 2 Nova Master for.
No Machine of Gadgets though. In the whole event.
Yeah, none of them in that. You're right. There were none in the pool.
No.
The one main board MST is interesting.
Oh yeah. That's. So I've seen that before in a couple lists. I've seen like just heavy as well. So I like Lance as well in this deck every once in a while. I think Chainable back row, but then again, this list like you're not saying a ton of cards. I mean, there's no book and there's 7
you have
trap
Gemini
cards.
Spark.
Yeah, but there's not a ton of traps. Like, I remember Chris's list that did well at our local. He played like 16 or 17 trap cards, something ridiculous. But he was playing Drain Hero, so. But yeah. I think this might be the way to go, just because Ab Zero is so good. So just like chucking in a couple Snowman Eaters like is not bad. Like.
No, it's hard to find a matchup where that card is just bad.
Yeah,
like maybe against Dark Worlds because they just graph pop it, but that wasn't even in this tournament.
Yeah, there's no grapha, so you don't even have to worry about it. I think it's really cool. I think that this inclusion of this card is pretty unique. It's not something we see all the time, so I like to see the evolution. And then let's get to the 4th place list here, and Gladiator Beast. Murray's Gladiator Beast. Murray again is in a lot of Discords. You'll see the name floating around. The Hero Lives variant, of course, Gen Force, Hero Lives. You have the combo where you can do things with like Test Tigers, which is really cool. I like this. I'm not too big on Glads in terms of like playing it. I have the deck, but I typically don't play it, especially in this format. He did decide to play the Stratos. I think playing the Stratos is correct when you have a Hero Lives, as opposed to just playing the Prismas, which is a little bit more popular. No hand traps because of the War Chariots. It is weird to see no Max C, but you don't need Failure when you have War Chariot. War Chariot's just better and recyclable with a quest. So
I'm curious about the Hoplimus. I don't think that's super standard for September 11. That's more of like an Edison tech. It's
50-50. Like I cut it from mine and then put it back in and then cut it and then tried it again.
It is probably good against Thunder King.
Yeah. You could stall it out. Yeah. No MSTs or heavy in the main board. Triple Lance. That's it. So I like the Triple Lance, but I worry about something like. I know it's not super prevalent, but I worry about emptiness. Like something is going to break emptiness, and we kind of have to figure that out. I don't know what that would be.
It's Mist Valley.
I think, but then again, if you're like, because it'll screw you out of Test Tiger. Because if you look, but you can just like if you have a beater that can run over something, but like this deck is I don't know. I guess because Lance helps you get over things, so like it works as like a pseudo shrink, which is cool. But at the same time, not having MST in the main board, I don't know. It worked, but you always have to consider that you have to hedge your bets.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lance is like, again, defensive and offensive. I typically think of it as a defensive card. I know cards like Direct Guaiba and later on in Flamefell Fire Dog and yeah, but still.
I think Safe Zone's the same kind of thing. In a lot of situations, it's probably one for one just like Wabaku would, but you have the added benefit in exchange for Wabaku being chainable to MST. Safe Zone is offensive against an opponent's MST. If they just blind space your back row, you can chain it and pop one of their monsters. So maybe they were hedging on that bet. Maybe they're just trying to be more aggressive. Or I'm not sure what else the meta call would be for triple Safe Zone, but I like it.
I like that the sideboard is 5 cards.
Triplicates of all 5, yeah. Triple
like,
Cyber Dragon seems like a lot.
Consistency over, I mean,
variety.
So, yeah, but the thing is, if your opponent normal summons Thunder King, like this deck is like, without Lance, Book, or Hole, like, this deck is kind of screwed. So this eats up your opponent's Thunder King. You fart out a Cyber Dragon, they have to negate it, and then you can just summon your guy. And that's kind of how you get around it. That's, like, essentially it. There's a lot of back row hate in the sideboard, though, with the triple space and the triple trap stun. And then triple dimensional prison for going second, which makes a lot of sense. Because, like, bottomless isn't, like, super great going second. It just depends on the matchup. But most of the time, that D-Prison's going to hit cards like Christia going first. Like, if they're going first. So you have that access. Interesting to see the tune, or the Secret Monsters being just Cataster and Trishula for the reborn of, like, a Spore or an Effect Veiler. Yeah. Only one Herc as well. I know we have Esadari in this format, and, like, only 2 Geyseras. So, like, normally you, like, max out. You play, like, triple Geyseras, double Herc, and then maybe you cut, like, a Utopia and a Roach. Or maybe, like, one of the reborn guys. But maybe you don't go into these as much. The one Herc I can understand. I feel like I would want triple Geyseras, but maybe it doesn't come up in this format as often with, like, Hero Lives.
He might have been willing to let them die and bring them back with a double call.
I guess that makes sense.
Especially Geyseras, right? Because it still pops.
Oh, is it like when it's, like, special summoned or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was, like, considered properly special summoned. If you contact into it, that's, like, one of those weird rulings because I don't play call in my lists because I'm a bad player.
Clearly, you're not top 4.
Yeah, I didn't top 4 this turn. I didn't even play. We didn't play. You played. I
was gonna play Summoner.
Oh yeah, dude. If you would have been the weirdest deck in the breakdown. You would have been the definition of other.
Yeah, that's me. Like, that's the category I reside in.
What deck did this guy other? That's like the ultimate compliment where they can't even compliment you, or you're just that guy that Jesse Cotton bodied.
Ooh.
With that Danger Dark World FTK. And the guy had, like, Token Collector before it was, like, played. Don't ask me. I don't know anything about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I was told people play Token Collector now, and I was a sneak peek card a couple years ago. All right, that's going to do it for this. If you want us to keep kind of, like...
We have the 3rd place list still.
Did we not do it?
No.
Holy crap, we skipped
can't count to 3.
We skipped Chaos Control. Oh, no. Thanks, brother. How can I forget? Just that plays Junk Synchron and not Frozen Fitzgerald. Oh, yeah, the other thing we were like, Gemini Imps is like, dog, there's no Dark Worlds. Hey, look, emptiness.
Gemini Imps is any effect that would make you discard, right? Maybe it was for GKs with Royal Tribute.
All right.
Hey, we made it work for Closed Forest. We can make it work for Gemini Imps.
This card stops Royal Tribute. I mean, he does stop Royal Tribute. So, I think that Closed Forest might be a little better. I don't know. It's funny because, like,
depends on what you get blown out by, I guess.
Yeah, if your deck can make Ancient Fairy Dragon, you just play, like, 1, so you can just, like, go get it. But if your deck doesn't make Ancient Fairy Dragon, then you play 3. I like this deck because of the extra deck. I think Junk Destroyer, Gen X Ally Triforce, and Locomotion Argenix are hilarious. If you
This
don't
is
know
a
what,
fun extra deck.
yeah, if you don't know what Triforce does, when you synchro with a light monster, you get to set a light monster from your graveyard, so you can reuse Raikou. You can special summon it in face on defense position. I wish he played the Frozen Fitzgerald because I think that card slaps. It's 25-25. It's hilarious, and you can make it with Junk Seeker and Raikou. Locomotion Argenic steals the monster with the highest level on your opponent's side of the field, which is really cool. So you can make it with Birdman and then Chaos Sorcerer or Caius. Birdman to reuse Chaos Sorcerer and Caius. And BLS, of course. Double Alk. Which
I love Alchemist.
I think this card is so cool. I think it's harder to make it mistiming in this format, but I could be wrong. But I feel like it is a little bit more difficult. I feel like
there's just less Raikous.
There's less Raikous, yeah. So if you're like a fairy player who wants to like come over to this format, this card you get to play. You get to play this card. There isn't one Thunder King, which is really weird. Surprised to not see more. The light count is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lights, not including the extra deck, which doesn't play tuners except for Plague. I mean Valor.
Valor, Birdman, Junk Synchron, Plague. Yeah.
There's no Arcanine Magician either.
Oh, for Valor and like Chaos Sorcerer.
Valor and Chaos Sorcerer. I like Arcanine Magician. That card slaps.
I think in a deck that's as tight as this, I probably wouldn't include it. It's not like Piper where you're consistently getting a Valor and a Chaos Sorcerer out there.
I guess that makes sense. No level 1 non-tuners to make Armageddon with Junk Synchron. From what we're looking at, yeah. And then the double Levier and Leviathan Dragon is super standard. I would really like to know how the Fiends. I want to know if it was good.
My guy's trying to break vanities.
It has to be good in something like before like Dragon Rulers. Like that can't be the deck that like, oh yeah, this card is good now. Like it has to have been good before that. We tried it in Macro Rabbit and it wasn't.
It'd probably be really solid in something like Drain Hero.
And like Drain Hero, because it's like, but then again, like if they just space one of them, it's a 2-for-1. Like for me,
even like
Emptiness works when it's the trap card.
Yeah, I think I tend to like it in decks that can really set up a big board and then just flip that card.
Yeah, like I think this card.
Like Karakuri.
Yeah, if you play like the desynchro build, where you're like really schmoovin', as opposed to like the control build. Unfortunately, we don't access the Karakuri list from this event. I'd like to see which version it was. I play the control one, because I have a hard time remembering which monsters I use for the synchro. Small Brain.
Oh, I just realized he can. So this deck can potentially do something silly with Triforce, because you can use the Earth effect since you can do Junk Synchron, Maxi, and Raikou to make it as a 7. And if you use an Earth monster, it also basically becomes Armades.
Oh.
If this card actually no, it's more like Frozen Fitzgerald. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. If you use an Earth, in addition to
it's the
that's the Fitzgerald special.
Okay, I was gonna say it's the like all the Ancient Gear cards, like Ancient Gear Beast or whatever.
Yeah, they share the same wording.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I like Caius in the deck because it's really cool with the Chaos Monsters and the Cyber Dragon. Interesting to see the one of Cyber Dragon in the main board. Big fan. I think that's cool. Dad is another powerhouse. The Dark Count is also really high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 Darks. No allure.
Yeah, no allure. I mean, some of them banish themselves pretty easily. I mean, Birdman and Plague, Chaos Sorcerer can help control your count. He runs Avarice.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting for a deck that, with the Chaos Monsters and things like that, where they kind of remove themselves, and then Dad removes stuff from your graveyard. A lot of these remove stuff. But then again, like, Alchemist combining with Allure is, like, so good.
So you can guarantee something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think the Birdman is cool, because you can get it back after it banishes itself. So you always have, like, that in Plague, you always have that reusable tuner with the Alchemist. You didn't max out on it, so it might be, like, it is searchable off Sangan, though, which is, like, searchable off tour guide, so that the whole thing comes together, which is why probably Maxi is a one of. For me, I pick the hand trap that I like the most in certain decks and play 2 of that, and then I play 1 of the other, because you can always go tour guide Sangan and then grab the one you need or one you want that you feel is more applicable. Also, again, with only 1 Thunder King, you have 2 dualities, because that's your best just normal summon. So you'd think you want a duality because you can't special summon the turn. You want a lot of things you can just stick out there. You can set Sangan, you can set Raikou, you can set Plague, you can summon Thunder King, and you can summon Alchemist. So I guess there are enough normal summons to justify it.
Yeah.
But
I realized I misspoke earlier. You can't make Triforce with Junk Synchron. It has to be with Birdman. So it's it's almost a little harder to make. Although I guess you could Junk Synchron bring back Raikou or Maxi while you have it, and then just Birdman back the Junk Synchron.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the play. I also like the Junk Destroyer, which is kind of cool. Awesome. Yeah, and you also have cards like Trag, which change levels. And you have the ability to have extra monsters, so you can drop Trag, and then use the play with the Junk Synchron where you can grab one and then Trag target Raikou, summon Junk Synchron target Raikou, 6/7.
Yeah, this is a very good stuffy kind of deck, and I like it.
Yeah, or you can have it target something that's level 3. It is very 40 good cards deck. It almost looks like a modern iteration of Turbo Chaos from Go format, but what it would look like with more modern cards with Tour Guide and Junk Synchron and Trags and Birdmans and stuff like that. So it's the same idea and playstyle, but at the same time a little bit more, I don't know, more modern.
Now we have to work Thunder Dragon into a 2011 Chaos deck.
There's one deck that can play it. I don't remember what it is. I've seen it floating around, and I wish I could remember. It's either for this format or for Edison. Comment section can help me out.
There is a deck in Edison that uses Thunder Dragon. It's an Assault Mode Turbo deck. You use Thunder Dragon and Eccentric Boy.
What is Eccentric Boy?
You can synchro with a monster in your hand, but the monster you summon is banished when it leaves the field. But it's a level 3 warrior tuner. So you can Rota it, you have Thunder Dragon in hand, you pitch it, you have 2 of them, and then it's a free Stardust. And then you Assault Mode it. It's kind of funky.
That sounds incredible. I want it.
It's out there. It exists.
That sounds absolutely fantastic and deserves a spot on our absolute jankery. All right, now that is actually going to do it for the first time. We'll get better at this. We'll kind of play with this. And if there's any events that you guys have where you have access to that, if you have a community, whether that be IRL, online, and you have a top 4 or a top 8 or something, feel free to send it our way. We'll talk about it. We'll have a lot of fun. We like going through deck lists and seeing, what does well, what's not doing well, what's trending, what's popular in different formats as they continue to evolve, because none of these are really solved. I don't think a lot of them are solvable. I know Go format is pushing that envelope, but I don't think a lot of the more explored formats are solved, especially when you have access to more and more cards as in later formats like we do with Tengu Plant. So if there's anything you guys want to see from us, be sure to leave it in the comment section below. But that'll do it from us, and thanks for watching, guys.